So a very warm good evening to one and all present here today for the World Alzheimer's Awareness, program, naming No Dementia, No Alzheimer's. We have eminent faculties who are joining us today, Ms. Vidya Shenoy and Dr. Avinash D'Souza, who will be addressing the key aspects of dementia and Alzheimer's. Ms. Vidya Shenoy, Secretary General at Alzheimer's and Related Disorder Society of India. She is a steering committee member at Dementia Alliance International and panel member of Maharashtra State Mental Health Authority. Founder of Smriti Vishwam, Universe of Memory, a dementia daycare center in Mumbai. We are really honored to have you, ma'am, to discuss about Alzheimer's and dementia and some of the awareness aspects that we need to be taken care of. Over to you, Ms. Vidya Shenoy.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in the month of Alzheimer's, the World Alzheimer's Month, to speak about the disease and how best we can help our community, our members, to reduce the risk of developing dementia by doing certain very simple things that go a long way. So I would like to share my screen. This introduction is it's already been given. I begin all my presentations with gratitude to the divine. We are very quick to ask for things, and I think it's important that we actually are grateful for the blessings that we've received. So I surrender to the divine within. I'm grateful to the teachers in my academic and professional pursuits, especially the yoga where I qualified from, the Sri Ambika Yoga Kutir, who gave me a sense of discipline in life, to live life in a proper way and be giving and forgetting the gift, to take without forgetting. The senior citizens and special needs children and adults who I volunteer with since the last 3 decades. Also persons living with dementia who are actually my source of inspiration. They make me think out of the box. And their families and also the caregivers who totally trust me in doing what I am doing as an integrative therapist and dementia care specialist. I am because of them. I thank each of them personally, and also not to forget my family living with dementia, who are members of the daycare center called Smriti Vishwam, Universe of Memory. And we've been, very blessed and also privileged to receive the ISO certification. And how can I forget those who inspire me, who make me learn more and more, keep me hungry all the time to keep learning, from the experts, the professionals, researchers in various fields. I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to each one who is making me a better person by the day. This is our ISO certificate that we've been given. And today we're going to discuss Alzheimer's disease, dementia, healthy aging, risk reduction, which I think each of us must be aware of. Aging is basically natural. It's a part of life. And as we age, our physical and mental needs change. What does it influence us and our way of thinking, our behavior, and how do they influence old age? We have the individual, which is of course age related. Then we have family history, our medical history, genetic, and comorbidities that we are living with, our environment that we live in, whether it's the home, the social facilities, or how we are able to travel, socialize, and of course, within the home or outside, assistive technology. So what basically we need is a change of attitude of people to aging and seniors. We just find always that, there's not much respect given. Somebody who's in a wheelchair, we just move on. I think we should be more sensitive and empathetic to these people, because all of us are going to get old, or we're already old. So I think we have to keep that in mind. So just sharing a little thought with you. That some people come into our lives and they go away. Our paths meet, but they don't stay. They cross. Some stay for a while And there is a purpose. What purpose? Only time will tell. But they do leave indelible footprints in our hearts and in our minds, and therefore we are living a better quality of life, and they have left eventually in an indelible mark. So here we see the stages of life of father time. All of us go through it, and we have to realize that once we are very young, and here we are, getting there slowly to the rainbow. So what does aging bring about? A slower and weaker body, loss of confidence, a frail mindset, fear of ill health. We're all scared. God forbid, who's going to look after us? Our children are busy. They have their own families. If they're young, they have their own priorities. And why trouble them? So all these thoughts come in the mind. You feel that since you're not a breadwinner of the home anymore, you are not required, you're useless. And there comes the loss of self-image, a feeling of being a burden, and of course, feeling useless actually, as we cannot contribute to the society or the family financially, or doing any qualitative thing that will uplift the family members. So here we have common aging health problems. Diabetes, we all know, cholesterol, arthritis, rheumatism, knee problems, a lot of knee problems, osteoporosis, blood pressure, hypertension, incontinence of bowels, cardiac problems, psychological insecurities, and most importantly now, we have dementia and Alzheimer's, where the numbers are growing up very fast. As of today, there are about 6 million people living with the disease, and the numbers are getting more and more and fast. So what does aging do? The body cannot keep pace with the mind. If the mind thinks fast, the body is slow. And if mind is slow and the body is slow, then there's a bigger problem when it comes to Alzheimer's. So here we see the person's turmoil, and the sand clock is showing the sand of time going off. And what happens in Alzheimer's and dementia? The brain is dying. Neurons are dying, and they cannot be replaced. And that's where the brain starts functioning lesser than what it used to. So what happens is, a lot of people come and ask that, oh, my doctor said my father has Alzheimer's, but my neighbor says, no, it's dementia. So we have to be very clear what is dementia and Alzheimer's, which we will see. Dementia is an umbrella, it's a syndrome of a cluster of symptoms, which eventually leads to progressive loss of mental and eventually physical functions, and it is irreversible death of brain cells. And it's continuous, and nothing so far has been discovered to help the disease. So Alzheimer's is one of the most common of them. 50 to 60% of that umbrella rib is of Alzheimer's. And what are the other diseases that come under the umbrella? You have frontotemporal dementia, which is, where this frontal part cannot function properly. And that lobe of the brain decides, it's a judgment, language, getting the right word. So you could probably have an English language teacher not being able to form a sentence because she has FTD. And that is one of the diseases. Vascular dementia, something to do with the heart and functioning lesser than it should. And there's less blood flow to the brain, and obviously the brain functions lesser. Then you have Lewy bodies. Also common is Parkinson-related dementia, and you have mixed dementia, or Huntington's dementia is also there. But today we find that, young onset dementia is being heard of more often. We'll come to why that YOD is more common now. So there are 3 types of memory loss. One is age-associated memory impairment. So you could have a 95-year-old person who's losing memory in recalling the name of a person. What can you expect of a 95-year-old? It happens. It's the aging process, and it is due to the aging that there's impairment of memory. Then you have MCI, that is a minimal cognitive impairment without dementia. So the person can have memory loss, but no dementia, because again, it's age related, or it is due to some other comorbidity that is affecting the capacity of the brain. And finally, we have something with memory loss and behavioral changes. That means it's a distinct change of personality. So if there's a person who is, who has been very, very sociable, suddenly becomes quiet and introvert and doesn't want to mix with anyone else. So that's a cause of concern. And I think that is the main sign where you should know that it's time to have a neurological checkup. So we go to what are the common signs in Alzheimer's? Who, what, where, when, why, and how. These are the common ones, and we'll go through them. It's a recent memory loss that affects job skills, in the sense that somebody, for example, there's a person who was an accountant, very used to calculations, doing accounts, balance sheets, and the rest. And suddenly you find that gentleman or the lady is looking at the calculator, not knowing what is happening, saying, what is this? Cannot remember what that calculator is, or cannot, work on the calculator or do accounts. Basic sums cannot do. So that is affecting the job skills. Then you have difficulty in performing familiar tasks, like activities of daily life. They probably go to the bathroom and they say, where's my kettle? I want to make some tea. Or they go into, see a toothbrush and they say, why is the spoon? Why are you giving me the spoon? I want to brush my teeth. So there's no connection between the spoon and the toothbrush and the spoon, and there's a mix-up. So identification becomes a problem, and hence they cannot perform ADLs. Then problem with languages, that frontotemporal, there's a problem. The person being diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia will not be able to find the right words. So a person will say, I want to go there. I want to go there. Where there? Doesn't know. Cannot explain. Then you prompt and say, do you want to go to the market? Yes, yes, yes. That's a market I want to go to. So there's no connection between the sentence and the there, but they want to go to the market and they cannot find the right word. So there's a problem with the language. Then there's disorientation of time and place. They could probably go to a neighbor's house and say, get out of the house, this is my house. Or it's broad daylight and they say, why didn't you switch on the lights? It's getting too dark. Or it's not raining outside, but they say, get the umbrella, it's raining very heavily. So disorientation of time and place. Then you have abstract thinking. You ask the person, what would you like to have for dinner? So they'll say, I think we will go and watch the movie, or we'll watch TV. So where is the thing, where is the question and what is the answer you've got? So their thought process is not easy, it's difficult, and they cannot express. So if you ask one question, you'll get something else as an answer with no connection. Decreased and poor judgment. A person who's a head of the family who decided what to do in the holidays suddenly finds himself diffident of making decisions. So the son might ask the father, where should we go on holiday? Should we go to North India or should we go to South India? Which place do we have to go to? And suddenly the father says, what are you asking me? Don't tell me anything. You know better. I don't know anything. I'm a gone case, and goes again to a depressive talk or cannot decide or gets angry, because that is a very common thing that happens. Then you have misplacing things. So a person can, keep the purse. Say a lady has a purse that she's very possessive of because she's used it all her life, and she thinks still there's a lot of money in it. So what happens is the person will not leave the purse and they'll hide it probably under the pillow. So nobody will find that place. And then what they do is they get suspicious and they check with the servant, the daughter-in-law, because the son or the daughter will never steal. So the whole, the whole issue is an outsider, and they'll pick on the servant or the daughter-in-law or the son-in-law if it's a joint family, and so on. So the suspiciousness is more. Then you have change in mood or behavior. A person who's been very active and outgoing suddenly feels that, no, I don't want to do anything. A person who is very fond of the grandchildren, and the grandchildren go running to a grandparent and say, come on, let's play a game. And they say, don't touch me, don't talk to me, I don't want to be with you, leave me by myself. So suddenly there's a change. There's a change of mood and behavior towards the grandchildren who he once had a good time with. So these mood swings are very, very common. Then you have loss of initiative. They just don't want to do anything. They'd rather sit by the corner or, not mix around. Lack of being social or wanting to do something that they would have loved to do otherwise. Then you have change in personality. There's a total turnaround. So a person who is an introvert gets to be an extrovert, loud, noisy, and a person who's been fun-loving suddenly has a withdrawal system. So there's a change in personality. Then we have more telltale signs of Alzheimer's. So here you have the fuzzled brain. And what is it? There's a lack of trust, increased suspicion. They will just not trust anyone because they feel everybody is out to get them, and anybody goes to reach, to extend themselves to them, they'll be suspicious. Why is he or she being nice to me? So these are the thoughts that can cross their mind. Then, of course, we have a lot of elders going on saying the same thing again and again. And, you can take it up to a certain extent, but then eventually it gets very challenging and family members get upset. Then we have problems with language, as we said earlier. Then we have restlessness. You might find them walking up and down the room many times, not knowing what to do. They probably go to the cupboard 5 times just to see something, but actually they don't know what they want to see. So they'll keep walking around the house and show some sign of restlessness, which is another thing very common. Then you have frequency of going into a twilight zone. They just zero off. They give a blank look and you know that they're on their own trip and they don't know what is happening. So in this case, we call it going into the twilight zone because we have no idea of what is going on in their mind. Then you have a strong fear of change in routine. So normally it is advised that people with Alzheimer's should live with the same kind of routine because they don't know any better. So they get very muddled up if you change the routine. So if they're getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning and suddenly wake them up 7 in the morning and make them do things, their body is not able to understand. The mind cannot understand, their body cannot function as the way you want it. So there's a fear of change in routine, and therefore there's more confusion because they have a muddled or disconnected thoughts going in their head as to why it happened. I'll give you an example that during COVID, we found a lot of elderly people, even those who were not affected with dementia, very, very concerned because the children were at home, the grandchildren were at home. They didn't know what happened because they thought that the kids have lost their job. That's why the children can't go to school. So we had a lot of family members talking to us on the phone and saying, please tell them, please explain to them. And eventually we started home care, for which we took all the permissions required. And then we started doing home care because they were getting very restless and the family just wanted somebody to handle them. And, as they were very used to coming to our daycare, they were happy because they had those 6 hours of break, which they weren't getting now. So there's a confusion. So even people who were the caregivers, the primary caregivers, had a problem looking after the family members. And there was lack of self-navigation or direction. People with Alzheimer's or undiagnosed Alzheimer's also, they need help to go around the house, decide for them, and they need a lot of assistance. So what we say is, when there's absence of someone to relate with or ventilate with, that they just hang on to anybody. So what are the common causes of dementia? There are hemorrhages. Loss of blood obviously affects the heart, and then you have less blood flow. Then you have cerebrovascular accidents. One must realize that people going on bikes have to be very careful, and that is why the traffic insists that helmets need to be worn. There are a lot of people who say, people who worn helmets also have had, problems. Yeah, but we're reducing the risk, instead of a total smash up, at least here there's some protection. So cerebrovascular accidents, motor vehicular accidents, they all can lead, because when they are in hospital or in coma, more than 24 hours of coma can lead somebody into dementia in the long run. Parkinson's disease, we spoke about it, that Parkinson's disease, the persons having Parkinson's would, the higher the chance or the risk of getting dementia. Vitamin B12 deficiency is a very common cause. That's why they say it is necessary to have a balanced diet, which we'll come to later. Syphilis, tumors, infections of any kind, hydrocephalus, AIDS related, which is very common, and being in coma for more than 24 hours are the common causes. So we come to, can dementia be prevented and how? There's primary, that you reduce the chances of getting it in the first place. Secondary is early diagnosis. And tertiary is, in case the person has come in too late for getting the diagnosis, already into advanced, we try and improve the quality of life. So it is possible to risk reduce rather than prevent. So we come to, what are the risk factors? So there are two types, non-modifiable and modifiable. So we know that there are, the non-modifiable are definitely age. Nobody gets younger, maybe in attitude and energy level, but age cannot be reduced. So we have non-modifiable and modifiable factors. So what are the non-modifiable? Age and family medical history. Those cannot be changed at all. Modifiable factors is a way of life. So we talk of the diabetes, control of diabetes, blood pressure, learning a new language to keep your mind active, exercise, diet, of course, you can change. And as far as possible, see that you have the right thing, you do the right thing. So in diet, you see that what you can actually absorb, your body can absorb. There are a lot of, say, coconut oil is good. You have walnut, you have berries. Berries are very good for dementia. You can have curcumin, turmeric. Turmeric is a very common and it's very popular also. Though we eat it in food, in the South, they give you a little bit of turmeric in warm water. And our elders knew, the people of old, the older generation knew it was good for health. And they had that. Then you have, things like grapes or cauliflower, broccoli, pomegranate. These are all good for the diet. And those are modifiable factors. So you have a choice how to live your life, whether it's diet or exercise or, just plain learning a language, music. These are all conducive to retain the cognition levels. So I think we need to take it upon ourselves how we can modify these factors. So decade of healthy aging, 2020 to 30, has been called on by the WHO. That means, it doesn't mean that, you live long, but it is living a good quality of life and well-being by reducing the disease and disability amongst adults. So can it be, we have done this. I'm sorry, okay, what are the action areas of healthy aging? there were four major areas that were interconnected. One is changing how we think and feel towards aging, developing communities that are age-friendly, and also delivering person-centered care, integrated care for primary health services that are responsive to older people and access to their long-term care if they need it. So why is it the need of the hour? Between 2015 and 50, the proportion of world's population is going to double from 12% to 22%. It's a very stark figure. Then you have, by 2020, number of people have over the age of 60, it is that they will outnumber the children who are younger than 5 years of age. Again, it's going to be old age dependency ratio going up. By 2050, it is projected that 80% of the aging population will be living in low and middle income countries. That means the pace of population of aging elders is going to be much faster than what it has been in the past. And all countries are going to face this problem. This demographic shift is all over the world. So we come to the clause of the idea of healthy aging. So WHO again defines healthy aging as a process of developing and maintaining functions that you can do it independently and that enables well-being in older age. Therefore, this decade is very important till 30. So as we said, we reduce the risk by being physically active, following a healthy diet, challenging the brain, cognitive function. How do you do that? You have Sudoku, you have for focus, you have, say, carom, for example, you have crosswords, you have music, as I said. There are a lot of things, that are, games that challenge the brain. And you just go onto the net and you find games, for that are good for cognition. You will have a number of them. And then, of course, what is good for the brain is good for the heart. Today is Heart Day, and it's quite appropriate that we really take a call upon ourselves to look after our heart as well as our brain. And most importantly, I think, is be happy. You have to enjoy yourself. We are all on a time bomb extension. It's like a lease we're having. Let us make the most of it to reduce the risk of dementia. So the common problems in the elderly are on mental, physical, and psychosocial planes. So we have to work towards it. So we have healthy places, meet people, there are book clubs, there are gardening clubs, conversation. A lot of messages are going that, the more you talk, the better it is. And we don't need any, prompting. We can talk, and I think socialization is a very healthy space. So something we have to keep in mind is currently there's no cure of the disease. Interventions and treatments are available that will relieve symptoms, but it doesn't cure. Also, it depends on the family medical history and the person living with dementia. And it's a long journey. So the caregiver comes into for the fore. You have two types of caregivers. One is a primary family caregiver, or there's a higher professional caregiver. Both of them have the same onus. They have a restricted life. They have made sacrifices to look after the person with dementia. Depressing, they isolate themselves. And it's very important that each of them gets a break, because a person living with dementia and who's being cared for doesn't know any better, but the caregiver has no insurance. India doesn't have insurance for caregivers. So they have to look after their own health. And I think we should be caring for the caregiver also. So what happens is when we are thinking of well-being and quality of life, I think all these things come in mind: the positive attitude, the affirmations, empowerment, the inner peace, everything positive. I think that helps in giving a better quality of life and well-being for ourselves. So here we have, I'm just showing you pictures of our, daycare, where each of them is having a good time. We're seeing that they have a good time. A person who was tailoring for 60 plus years, she was a teacher, or a tailoring teacher. So we got a machine and we saw that she was teaching somebody or the other every day. We had puzzles to be done. We played carom. Of course, they were beyond chess, so there was no chance of them playing chess. But all in all, we had music, we had dance, a lot of integrative therapies were given there. And each one, it was customized. The only thing that was common to all was yoga and the stretches so that they felt comfortable. And they also had a, oil massage that made them relaxed. So today I request each of you to read this in your mind as I say it aloud. And we just let ourselves, be sure that what we're doing is for the community to make it dementia friendly, age friendly, and inclusive. So I'm taking a pledge on your behalf saying I will treat persons with Alzheimer's disease and dementia and other mental issues and non-communicable diseases with dignity and respect. I'll support them by understanding with empathy and compassion, to manage them with patience. I'll also be sensitive to their families and caregivers as they need us too. I request each one of us to join hands to engage in working for their empowerment and make the entire community dementia friendly. Today and every day, knowing that every 3 seconds someone in the world is developing dementia, let us spread the message. Remember those who cannot remember. All of us are going to be there one day. And if we look after others as we would like have had others look after us, I think we start right away, not only by remembering those who cannot remember, but also to lead a quality of lifestyle that is conducive to healthy active aging, because it takes 10 to 15 years for the symptoms to be seen. And I wish you good health and the wisdom to take care of one's health. So all I have to end it up with is Rachel Goodrich's words. She said, "We forget that the sweetest joys are found in the simplest acts. Hugs, laughter, quiet observation, basic movements, holding hands, pleasant music, shared stories, a listening ear, an unhurried visit, and selfless service. It is sad we forget a truth so elementary." So I think, just as the adults, as we do to children, babies, we have non-verbal language. They can't speak, but they understand the tone and the feeling with which we speak. Likewise, these are big babies. We treat them with as much love as we would treat an infant or a baby. So let us join hands, work together. I end this thank you, and I'm ready to take questions whenever they're going to be asked. And thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we can take a few questions. Maybe I can just read out one by one so that you can, interact with our audience accordingly. So the first question that I have received is, ma'am, can you describe about home care for Alzheimer's? What all things we need to be done? We don't have much facilities also.
We don't have much
facilities also in our city.
Sorry, I didn't get it. We don't have much
facilities in our cities too. Yeah.
Okay. See, the first thing for home care, is it the individual home care that we are giving to persons with dementia, or how do we protect them? What is the question? Because if you're talking of environment, of how to keep them safe, I think the basic thing is persons with dementia are famous for going astray. A lot of people get lost because the main door is open and they just walk out of the house, never to be found again. So I think the first thing is to lock the house, the main door, and be vigilant that they will not walk off. Secondly, when you lock the door, keep the key in a place that they are not familiar with, because they are smart. They know how to get find the key. So you have to find it in a very different place, hide it in a different place so they don't find it. If you're talking about home care services, then you have to be very careful, because it is professionally, should be professionally done. You have to customize the care service. There is a distinct what kind of service is going to be given, and each therapy given needs a monitoring. So, there are two different issues.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, In the society, there are few people who are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, but they are not ready to mingle with their children or with the new people in the society. How
Hmm.
do the organizations bring awareness among such people and take care of them?
See, that's what we talked of, social stigma. Today, we hardly have information on the numbers, actual numbers that we have people living with dementia are. Uh, Awareness, advocacy is very important. Organizations like Artsy, for example, we do a lot of advocacy, and there are a lot of awareness talks being given. We conduct a lot of, in Mumbai, we do a lot of awareness talks, but memory clinics. We go into the BPL areas below the poverty line. Um, we don't, it's not restricted. We work with government hospitals, we work with municipal hospitals. As a chapter also, we do a lot of this work, the grassroots work. And I think it's very important that as a community, we start with small pockets. You start with small pockets and grow, and then you make a change. It's like a pyramid building, you start getting people involved with you. So I think awareness that they go in for intervention, whether it's clinical or whether it's non-pharmac.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The next question is, are forgetfulness is a sign of dementia?
See, I would put it with another question. If a young boy forgets his poetry, do you call him living with dementia? No. So I don't think forgetfulness, sometimes, like I've had a lot of school friends who never remembered anything. And then now also it's the same. They don't, it's not that they've got worse. So I don't think forgetfulness is a sign. But if there are personality changes, like we talked about the symptoms, or they just have loss of initiative, then I think one should go for a test, and there are a lot of tests clinical psychologists do. They do the mini mental state examination, they do the ACE, they do the MOCA for cognitive. So I think it's best to take professional advice, go to your family doctor, and then, whatever the family doctor says, uh, you know, uh, he would advise probably that to go and seek a specialist, and or he'll say it's nothing, it's just age related, and then take it from there. But I feel personally that a person should go in for second opinion if after the age of 65, especially 60, 65, that the person cannot uh, remember, or there's erratic behavior, there is behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia, BPSD, then I think you need to actually take this whole thing through.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we take two more questions, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So the other question is, how can we prevent Alzheimer's? Could you brief some of the dietary applications?
See, the first thing is, I personally believe that exercise, yoga is the best form. Firstly, if you learn it from a person who is professionally qualified, then you don't need a machine, right? It is an exercise. You're using your body, you're making it flexible, and likewise your mind. It gives a lot of focus and concentration for the person to actually do the right thing. So I think exercise is very, very important, because you could do no exercise and eat right, but it's not going to help. So you have to go move it, like walking also, for example. But walking is just going to better your heart, or make you more active. But I think yoga is a thing that works on the mind too. So yoga, and you can do games like CrossFit, for example, or they do Antakshari, because that is music and memory game. So anything that will pump up the energy to the brain, that is good. Diet, see, normally they say green leafy vegetables are very good for the diet. berries are good, strawberries or blueberries. Blueberries are supposed to be more effective. So it just depends on what the diet, like fish, people who eat non-veg, fish is a better option. So I think we can take it that way. Chicken is good, white meat, but the red meats are, I would say, a big no-no. But some people's, taste buds are such that they would like to have red meat. Then we can't help.
Thank you, ma'am.
But curcumin, haldi, haldi is very
Okay.
good.
So, I mean, most of us, thus we used to have turmeric every time. At least one meal will have turmeric in the daily diet, so that is pretty much effective. And we can take up the last one question, ma'am. So I thought maybe it's like basically most of the registered participants have asked regarding the hereditary complications or are Alzheimer's disease can be hereditary or not. So yeah.
See, there is no like they would say the main thing is that there is no history of the cause. There's no etiology of the disease. I feel that history says that. I mean, research says that the person's it's not hereditary, but say a twin, the twin, one twin gets it, the other one will, the chances are higher, say 30 to 60%. Then the other thing is that family history, it's less than 30%. Anybody could get it and untold. And the thing is that the person who is supposed to get it, the disease will show the actual signs 10 to 15 years later. So anybody, I mean, nobody sees the signs, nobody knows they have dementia till the signs are seen. So I think it's important that the lifestyle, we begin when we are in the youth, So I think that is very important. And what else would I say? I think lifestyle discipline is a main thing. Unless you have that, it's like you're building a fortress around the misbehavior of the brain. So I think lifestyle, diet, exercise, main thing, attitude also, the more you learn, you keep on learning, that helps a lot. You're challenging the brain to learn something new, right? So I think lifestyle, diet, challenges, all have to be, you have to be mentally ready for doing that. And you're never too old to learn, isn't it? You're never too old to learn.
Yes, I totally agree with that, ma'am. Also, just out of curiosity, maybe wanted to know about your, you have received an award at the Indian Academy of Neurology. Would you like to highlight about the award? What are the contributions and some of the experience, you got while receiving the award? Until now, what kind of services that you have been given to the society, specifically on Alzheimer's and dementia?
Thank you for asking me about my family. My family at the daycare, Smriti Vishwam, I am extremely fond of them and they are part of me. And the thing is that when they come to our center, it's like a home away from home. The family trusts us totally. They'll come in, and there have been times when people have come and they said, oh, my husband doesn't talk to women and I don't know how he'll sit and I don't know what he'll do, and very traditional families, And I said, don't worry. I mean, he's like a parent to us, not to worry. And they've just settled in. And the wife, one particular one I remember, she said, has my husband asked about me? So I said, I'm so sorry, he hasn't asked about you. And he sat through the full day. He had a good time. And the wife came in the evening to pick him up. And she says, did he really not ask about? I said, no, he didn't. But I said, at least you're happy that he's old and he's here. Had he done that when he was younger, what would you have done? So you should be happy that he's with us and he's in a safe place. Then we've had another person who is 92 who came in very, fussy, and she didn't want to come at all. And then another member of the family said, "Are you coming tomorrow?" She says, "Why are you asking me? Who are you to me? Who am I to you?" So she said, "No, I had a good time with you today." So she said, "Okay, if you think I'm good company," and these both are age related. So they are not with dementia, but they are into memory loss. Okay. So she says, "No, if you think I've given you a good time, I'll think about it tomorrow, but I may have appointments." So, we have these pleasant moments. So another thing is that I wrote a children's book called Remember Those Who Cannot Remember. Made some puppet shows. I'd done a puppet show in Jakarta and Calcutta, and it was well received. So I extended that into a storybook, and it was extremely well received. It was put up on the stands at the Alzheimer's Disease International Conference, and it's been translated. And it's a story about children who don't know why their grandparents behave the way they do, like repeating the same thing, not knowing what it is. So I take them through an animal story, who tell them dementia through a story. Very well received. Copies have been, distributed very, asked and were distributed well. And regarding the Indian Academy of Neurology Award, that was designed and called Memory Karaoke. Now, what happened was about 4 years ago, I got this award in 21. A group of young people came, and we were talking. And I said, I'd love to do this, and like reviving memory through song, based on old Indian music. So 2.5 years, we worked on it for about 6 to 8 months, and then 2.5 years, it was in the cold storage. But somehow, somewhere, I had this feeling that no, things are going to work out. It will. And by Jove, 2.5 years later, they came back, and it was very well received. And these are 3 songs. I can, send you the link, or you can go to Mumbai Chapter AD YouTube, and you can get the link to that memory karaoke, where the caregiver, primary or hired, will go on making the person repeat where they stay. See, we had a case where the person got lost and isn't found till now. It'll be 6 years. So it goes on asking for, "I stay here, I have eaten this," because they forget they've eaten food, and you can't go on feeding them again. So, using the common symptoms of dementia, it was made into a song and made to repeat. Like, "My name is this, and there are blanks, and it's customized." So the thing came up. It came up so well that MTV India took it up, and it was very, very well received. And I got an award for that. And we did a pilot study, and the reports were good. And now we are doing another study on the same thing on a larger level. And, these kind of apps really work. So I think it's very important that you think out of the box. And a lot of plans are in my mind, which I'm working on. And, hope, one day the things come out sooner than what it took for the memory karaoke. And this was taken up by the Indian Academy of Neurology. And I submitted an entry, and that's how I got it. And of course, the award was not mine. The kitty went to the organization. But I think it's very important that, each of us extend ourselves and do something more than what can be done. And I don't think any of us is incapable of that. So this is what the daycare and the memory karaoke is about.
Thank you, ma'am. I think I'm going to take one more question, okay, because it's very interesting. Because
Yes.
most of our working professionals do like to take a number of caffeine, either in the form of, coffee, tea, and all. So one such question is, does caffeine affect Alzheimer's?
There's one recent study that came saying that coffee actually helps sustain cognition. I see it's very difficult because one day they say apple is good for you, the other day they say no. One day they'll say ghee is good for you, the other day they say no. So I think anything in a limit is helpful. You see? But coming from the south, I think we have a softer corner for coffee, right? So it depends on how much you take also. And see, I think every problem depends on the kind of medical history each one has. So if if I have no issue with sugar, I can eat a lot of sweet. But somebody who says, oh, sweet, even if you have chocolates or mithai or something, it doesn't affect you, I don't believe that. So each one's constitution is different. But just recently, in fact, last week only I had read, I was, I'm an avid reader and I like to do research and write. So I had just come across this that one of the recent studies, uh, I think it's a Lancet study, which says that coffee is good for you. So one will have to do homework or, time tells. Because one thing is discovered, then there are 10 people who say, no, 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 this is not good. Maybe somebody will come up with saying tea is better. So it's difficult, but coffee is supposed to be better.
Thank you, ma'am. I think there is some emergency for Dr. Avinash sir, I think. So he may not be able to address the session, but you have requested to ask those questions too. But I think I have asked you almost every detail, even including the caffeine aspect also.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
we had a pretty much good discussion about having egg also, which is also a bioactive compounds which may have a good role in protecting against dementia. So
Yes.
whatever you have said on the lifestyle change, staying active, during the entire whatever days, and also we have to give more importance for the caregivers,
Yes.
because most of the caregivers do face lot of issues, because they have to go multiple locations if it is a home
Mm-hmm.
center or like that. So we need to create a separate platform for them, so that a better a training facility can be provided to them as well. So ma'am, on behalf of MedPiper Technologies and John Med, we would like to thank you for detailing the all the aspects of Alzheimer's and dementia all together. So now we know that yes, we need to give more awareness among the public, even under the medical fraternity also, because memory is something that really we work every day, and small forgetfulness, maybe if you feel that something needed to be done, you have to train now, practice yoga, and also we have taken all the points that we have discussed. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining
Yeah.
us today. We look forward for your more collaborations in the future, connecting with
Yes.
Alzheimer's and dementia. Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a
Thank
very
you once again.